According to the most recent report from the International Monetary Fund, emerging economies have been seeing tremendous growth in recent years, often outpacing the G7's conventional economic powerhouses. Among the most important publications of 2024, the World Economic Outlook was published on July 16th by a prominent Western lean financial organization. From 2012 through 2025, these developing economies will play a crucial role in driving global development, according to the International Monetary Fund's forecasts. They have also shown strong recovery from the global shocks of the previous few years. According to the IMF research, the world economy is changing drastically, with developed nations like the G7 predicted to keep their growth rates constant but moderate. Compared to their developing market rivals, the British nations are expected to have much faster growth trajectories, according to projections. These developing economies' divergent growth rates are indicative of longer-term structural shifts and deliberate economic policy. G7 nations, on the other hand, are dealing with an aging population, weaker productivity development, and the aftereffects of past financial crises and economic uncertainty. Global economic focus is slowly moving towards these dynamic developing economies, according to the IMF research. Changes in international investment, commerce, and geopolitical dynamics are anticipated to result from this change. Global economic advancement is being driven by developing economies such as the BRICS, which are seeing persistent higher growth rates. This underscores the need for a global economic governance system that is more inclusive and reflective of all nations. Disinflationary actions and the elimination of supply-side problems should lead to a gradual reduction in global inflation, which we expect to see with headline inflation falling to 5.8% in 2024 and 4.4% in 2025. What follows is an analysis of the BRIC nations' economic forecast. The economy of the BRICS. The British Empire has grown to include Iran as well, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Differences in economic trajectory between Egypt and Ethiopia are likely to materialize around 2024 and 2025. Strong manufacturing in China and IT services in India are driving the country's rapid economic development. While energy and agricultural exports help Brazil's economy, Russia's reliance on exports of energy, especially oil and natural gas, is substantial. Growth in South Africa is fueled by the mining and financial services industries. The new members' strengths are enhanced by their presence. Significant amounts of oil are exported by Saudi Arabia and Iran. Tourism and real estate are the backbone of the United Arab Emirates' diverse economy. Similar to Ethiopia, Egypt is heavily reliant on agriculture for exports like coffee and textiles. The most recent projection from the International Monetary Fund provides a good basis for analyzing the economic outlook of each nation. In 2024, the International Monetary Fund expects China's GDP to increase by 5%, and in 2025, 4.5%. Economic expansion is driven by strong exports and domestic demand and initiatives that bolster the real estate market. Aiming at high-quality growth, the economy benefits from extensive policy instruments and structural changes, although there are dangers associated with property sector adjustments and external pressures. Come on, let's just glance. Would you be so kind as to pull one for us? A simple like will go a long way if you find value in what we provide. Post your comments with your opinions and suggestions. We appreciate your involvement, which contributes to our expansion. India. We expect growth of 7% in 2024-25, thanks to solid economic fundamentals and rising private spending. Public funds allocated to improvements and infrastructure. One aspect of promoting investment issues is addressing inflation and the uncertainty surrounding the global economy. We expect Russia's GDP to expand by 1.2% in 2024 and 1.5% in 2025, propelled by government initiatives and external factors like sanctions and oil prices worldwide. While energy and manufacturing are key drivers of development, they are also major risk factors due to geopolitical concerns. Growth in Brazil is expected to reach 1.9% in 2024 and 2.2% in 2025, according to our forecasts. Reforms to the system and the revival of important industries like agriculture and services are the main forces behind this expansion. Inflation management and maintaining political stability are two of the economic problems. Persistent economic difficulties and geopolitical variables impacting Iran's oil exports and general economic stability resulted in a 2% growth rate projection for 2024. Achieving long-term growth requires a shift away from reliance on oil and toward economic diversification. With strong demand for both tourist attractions and residential real estate, as well as persistent attempts to diversify the economy, we anticipate a 4.3% increase in GDP for the UAE in 2024. To lessen its environmental impact, the United Arab Emirates has made smart investments in infrastructure and technology. Dependence on petroleum products. Egypt is expecting a predicted 4.5% increase in the next 24 years, fueled by investments in infrastructure rehabilitation, tourism, and industry. In order to keep investors' faith, it is crucial to control debt levels and guarantee political stability. Predictions for 2024 indicate a growth rate of 5.3% for Ethiopia. Despite persistent social and political obstacles, investments in agricultural infrastructure and services have been a driving force behind this expansion, and changes in both government and the economy are essential. In order to maintain expansion, ICAL. How is the economic situation among the G7 countries? What do you think? Let's investigate more. Projection of the G7 economic problems, with inflation, energy transition, technological progress, and geopolitical conflicts, will be at the core of the G7 countries' complicated economic issues between 2022 and 2024. Concerns about inflation are still high, and central banks are, in order to minimize excessive interest rates, costs going up. While developed nations like the United States and the United Kingdom attempt to balance their budgets in the face of massive debt, this strategy affects economic activity and might lead to slower development. Moving toward renewable energy sources is a top priority for the G7. By 2030, we want to have tripled our renewable energy capacity and doubled our energy efficiency. To get there, we'll need to invest heavily in long-term energy storage and phase out unregulated coal power. However, strong international collaboration and funding are necessary to implement these policies, which are critical to achieving climate targets. Another critical area of concentration is technological progress, especially in the fields of artificial intelligence, AI, and semiconductor supply networks. Protecting human dignity and minimizing hazards in AI development must be a top priority. In addition, the G7 is working on robust semiconductor supply networks to lessen economic insecurity and reliance. Tensions in international relations, particularly with Russia and China, have a major impact on government spending and borrowing. Addressing non-market policies and promoting robust global supply chains are two of the G7's proposed solutions to safeguard economic security and guarantee fair trade practices. The G7 is working together to help poor nations become more integrated into international trade. To promote steady economic development in the face of these complex problems, the G7 countries must work together. It is imperative that the G7 countries promote sustainable development and technological innovation while negotiating the intricacies of international geopolitics. Based on the most recent estimate from the IMF, let's take a look at the economic forecasts of each of the G7 countries. For 2024, The International Monetary Fund predicts U.S. GDP growth of 2.6% and for 2025, 2.0%. The U.S. economy has shown resilient once again, in spite of all these setbacks. Factors that contribute to growth include high inflation and interest rates, strong consumer spending, and a vibrant labor market. Potentially impacting consumer confidence and investment choices are monetary policy tightening and geopolitical concerns, which are important threats to the forecast. Forecasts for 2024 and 2025 indicate 1.8% and 1.6% growth, respectively, for Canada. Rising prices are being driven by robust consumer demand, a reviving energy industry, and robust public expenditure. Nevertheless, controlling inflation and interest rates may influence investment and consumer spending. According to our forecasts, the UK will see a growth rate of 1.2% in 2024 and 1.4% in 2025. High inflation, tighter monetary policy, and possible trade disruptions are challenges that the UK must overcome, despite the fact that lessening Brexit-related uncertainty and robust consumer spending are good aspects. For 2024, we project a growth rate of 1.1% for Germany, and for 2025, we project a rate of 1.5%. Strong exports and industrial output fuel expansion, but problems with the supply chain and unpredictable energy prices cast a shadow on the economic forecast. If predictions hold, France's GDP will rise 1.3% in 2024 and 1.5% in 2012. Growth is bolstered by robust public investment, especially in the green and digital industries. Yet, recovery, tourism, inflation, and labor market changes continue to grip the economy. Our forecast for Italy's GDP growth is 1.0% in 2024 and 1.3% in 2025. Systemic changes propel economic expansion. Productivity gains in services and industry, bolstered by recovery funds from the European Union, are the engines that propel economic expansion. The management of public debt and the execution of essential reforms pose challenges. Forecasts put Japan's growth rates for 2024 at 0.7% and 2025 at 1.0%. Rising domestic demand, stimulus expenditure, and a dovish central bank all bode well for Japan's economy for the near term, but the country faces longer-term threats from its aging population and unpredictable international trade conditions. This video concludes with that. You have my gratitude for taking the time to see this video. We are so grateful that you could make it here today. Please think about giving us a like and subscribing to our community so you can remain connected if our material touched you or inspired you. The support you have shown is much appreciated. Right now, you're seeing a different video from our channel.